we're going to start right out with our first guest, and we're going to learn a little bit about Jazz on J. Is it all jazz?
It doesn't have to be jazz, but there's a lot of jazz. And with all the things you were talking about, Ann, we have a really relaxing, nice event. It's all Thursdays in the summer, going through September. It starts at noon and goes till 1:30. For 19 years we've been doing this. Proctor's puts out chairs. You can bring your lunch.
It's a place to sit.
And it's a great way to meet some of the local up-and-coming musicians and also some old favorites.
And the musicians are wonderful. These are all seasoned musicians. They really are, and very well. We have one with us, Brian Patno. We see your name all over.
I try to stay as busy as I can.
Yeah, and is this what you do full time?
I do a lot of teaching as well.
I thought so, yeah. Where do you teach?
I teach at Schenectady Community College as an adjunct, and I also teach at Blue Sky Studios in Delmar.
Oh, wow, yeah. And what is your instrument?
I play the saxophone.
Saxophone. I love saxophones, yeah. Give you a nice wailful sound sometimes. Yeah. Are you going to be appearing at Jazz on J?
I am. I'm going to be appearing with drummer Michael Benedict's group called Bopitude.
Oh, Bopitude. They're very good.
It's a really fun quintet. We play music that's hard bop style jazz, so jazz that was made famous in the 50s and 60s. There's myself on tenor, a trumpet player, piano and bass and drums. It's a really fun group.
It's really, it's so nice to see the different musicians, how they will meld into different groups. They'll help each other, and I think that's really great. The musical union is kind of involved with this as well, isn't that correct?
I believe so, yes. The Mark Anthony and the Schenectady Musical Union has a big part in this, and they've been very supportive of the series for as long as it's been running.
Yeah, that's great. Now,
I can't help but thank them, but also Schenectady County and decentralization funding from the Council on the Arts. That's really who pays for this.
And they are paid. The musicians are paid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's important because many times, we want people to do it for free, but it's what you do for a living, so it's kind of hard to do it for free all the time. What happens if it rains?
If it rains, we come inside in Robb Alley at Proctor's, and we usually decide that at 10 a.m. And boy, is that a stressful 15 minutes.
I'm sure it is. You don't know where to put the chairs, right?
We don't know where to put the chairs, and then we have to notify the musicians, and because their deliveries of drums and things are quite expensive.
That's right. And you don't want the musical instruments to be, in the rain. Now, is there a tent for those musicians?
We usually have a tent set up on J Street, so the musicians are under the shade a little bit, and if it rains a little, we're okay.
And there is a website. It's on Facebook.com,
right.
And you go to Jazz on J, and you'll find out who's coming up next week. Now we're kicking off the season on June. What is it?
On June 6th with Colleen Pratt, who's a perennial favorite with our group, and then some of the variety of people that we have. The Charlie Smith Blues Band, which is a totally different kind of music. And Skip Parsons, clarinet marmalade.
Oh my gosh, they've been around a long time.
And someone who's a great favorite for many, many years, Paul Mastriani, is on August 15th. But the schedule is available on our Facebook page and also on the Proctor's website.
Yeah, and you had one change. I think you had to make one addition.
We had to switch out a musician who was unable to come, but I think the thing you really learn
and we're showing some photos there too, I think.
Good. The thing you really learn is the depth of musical talent that we have in our area when you do this, because you're only allowed to appear once every 2 years.
Yeah. Well, you want to get an array. You want people to have that exposure. And even no matter how popular they are, and you probably could have some on every single year and no one would be disappointed, it just kind of cuts one group out that could be exposed to the...
And one of the things that we try to do each year is feature a young, up-and-coming artist. And this year, I think that choice was the Giroux brothers.
Okay, and tell me about them.
Sure, it's Nate and Tyler Giroux. Nate is a saxophonist and clarinetist, and Tyler plays trombone and piano and melodica.
Oh my gosh.
And they actually come from a long line of musicians. Their father, Pete, is a trumpet player, and their grandfather is also a pianist. So sometimes they'll play as the three generations of Giroux, but for this performance they're playing with a bassist and a drummer.
Now, where do you set up on J Street? I don't know who.
It's about midway down, right, I believe.
Okay.
In the middle of the block, and the thing that's nice is we have a tree. So on hot days,
Trees are nice.
there's an opportunity for a little shade.
Yeah. And nice, you could actually buy a lunch on J Street.
Absolutely. And we're working with the J Street merchants to try and encourage them to do promotions. Also, it's the farmers market around City Hall that
That's
day.
right.
And so it's a nice day if people aren't working down here to make a trip. And we have nursing homes and group homes that come, and you can just come. It's very informal, very casual. And as I say, some people bring their chairs, some people watch from a bike, and some sit on the Proctor's
And
provided
some just
chairs.
kind of stand there and watch.
Yeah.
What's
all
amazing,
okay.
what's amazing is, like, I've been down there, and you'll see people like they're like going to lunch, and then they're doing something. Then all of a sudden they stop, and they lean up against the building, and then they stand there and listen. It's like, what a great way to bring music to our area, into the downtown.
Well, when we started this 19 years ago, the idea was to create a different image for downtown. And to me, even though I don't know a lot about the music, that music brings you a few moments of happiness that carries off into the rest of your day.
I love music too. It's really great. Now, there's also a link, I believe, on the Jazz on J to a website that encourages music as well.
That's right. I believe you're talking about albanyjazz.com, which is a site that I curate. It's not just Albany, it's Albany and Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga.
Sure, we're a community.
Sure. Just figured people would be able to spell Albany easier than Schenectady.
Hopefully.
It's kind of a hub for all the activity that's going on in the jazz community. There's a listing of musicians that play in the area. There's listings of different venues, one of which is Jazz on J. And there's a great collection of photos and reviews of concerts that go on in the area. So that's albanyjazz.com for anybody that wants to check it out.
Great, and I think in the fall there's a place for jazz. They do a lot over to the Unitarian Society.
Yeah,
So I
they've got
mean,
a
we
great
really are enriched in our community with wonderful music. In our next segment, we're going to be talking about the musicians of Malwick, which is another kind of music. So I suggest that you, and if you like music, even if you aren't sure you like it, come on down. Check it out. Try it out. Try it on for size, right? Thank you both for being here. You're doing such wonderful work to enrich our community and make it feel, we talk about quality of life. This is what it's all about, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, adding music to it. Thank you.
Thank you.